In October of 2025, a non-peer-reviewed conference paper was published by the Society of Petroleum Engineers. The principal author is Carlos Mata of Scientific Lightning Solutions. Despite the accolades, the published work contains safety-critical misinformation and demonstrates confusion about the effect of grounding, the effect of catenary wires, as well as including questionable comments about NASA's experience with protecting storage tanks. For example, consider the following statements. This paper presents a validated lightning protection methodology adapted from aerospace practices. Special focus is given to fiberglass tanks with metallic components, which often contain ignitable vapors and conductive pathways for lightning-induced discharges. Comprehensive lightning protection systems must be validated not only through theoretical models but also via empirical performance data. These systems are deployed at U.S. spaceports, including NASA Kennedy Space Center and Department of Defense launch facilities, where their effectiveness has been demonstrated over decades of use under rigorous safety and operational constraints. Such statements might lead one to believe that NASA has field-validated a lightning protection system for fiberglass tanks that may contain ignitable or flammable vapor. However, no evidence is given that NASA has ever actually used any such tanks. In fact, the paper itself may provide evidence that contradicts that possibility. For example, these tanks are widely deployed in oil and gas production facilities for saltwater disposal, temporary crude storage, and fluid segregation. These are not the kinds of activities that I would expect to find at any NASA launch facility. Additionally, NFPA 780 Annex N explicitly advises against the use of nonmetallic tanks in situations where flammable vapor may be present. It seems unlikely to me that NASA would implement discouraged or hazardous practices. Furthermore, the design strategies described in this paper are adapted from aerospace sector practices, where fuel systems, often involving cryogenic and hypergolic propellants, are protected using engineered catenary wire systems. One would expect that cryogenic and hypergolic propellants would be stored in sealed metallic tanks, the kinds of tanks that, according to Chapter 7 of NFPA 780, would be inherently self-protecting from lightning. It may not be surprising that NASA goes above and beyond the recommendations in NFPA 780 for protection of metallic tanks, but it would be surprising, at least to me, if NASA implements practices that are discouraged by NFPA 780. Fiberglass tanks that contain flammable vapor are uniquely prone to lightning-related damage, and their use only makes sense in some specific circumstances. So unless NASA actually uses such fiberglass tanks in significant numbers and for a significant period of time, the strategies described in this paper have not been validated by NASA's experience. In fact, the so-called properly engineered systems are not supported by any laboratory testing or even any calculations that are specific to fiberglass tanks. Upon his request, we provided Carlos with a list of problematic statements from his paper with references and proposed corrections, which you can download yourself from the description of the video below. As of the making of this video, we've received no reply. We did, however, send our comments to a number of other experts, including a senior engineer from NASA, who replied as follows.